Alright, so I'm pretty sure I'm live now, right? Yeah. So I'm not actually supposed to do anything for another 4 minutes, technically. I couldn't figure out a way to set the stream start when I wanted to. But I'll be... Sorry about the background noise. Yeah, but I'll be back in 4 minutes. Well, it probably doesn't matter that much, so yeah. Starting the slideshow. Oh, I should turn off the text box. Right. So today I'll be discussing kind of. Is that my mouse? If you no, you can't. But today I'll be discussing kind of how I created my avatar, what software I'm using, and if I have any time left, I'll play Project Sekai. Probably won't because I have a report to turn in pretty soon. So first off is the type of computer I have, because that's important to what kind of software I'm using and all that. I'm currently on a 2020 MacBook Pro running OS Catalina. Well, obviously, it couldn't run anything earlier, I don't think. I previously had a 2013 MacBook Air, but it wasn't fast enough for I don't know super much about computers, but it didn't have the power to withstand both Mitene, which is the program I'll talk about later that I'm using for animating my character, and OBS. OBS would just completely freeze. Oh, and the reason the year is important is because I didn't know this when I was researching firsthand, kind of first and foremost, but the year matters a lot when you're talking about computers, because even though everything kind of the components of the computer often have the same name, the very specific kind of version of the component usually advances a ton over the years. So make sure to keep that in mind. Computers and stuff. Well, not computers. No. So yeah, what that means for software, all the programs I'll be mentioning work on MacOS Catalina. They probably also work on Windows, because everything works on Windows. I wish I knew more about Linux, but I don't. I know absolutely nothing about Linux. They're also all free, because I kind of where I start things, how far I'll kind of go with it, I never really know. So I figured it's best not to spend like $100 on something where I don't even really know if I'll follow through on it. Anyway, so why I chose 3D avatar over 2D avatar, because a lot of people who do VTubing use 2D avatars. Well, for one, I'm just not that great at drawing stuff, I wish I were, but I'm really not. At least I'm not good at drawing the kind of thing that you'd put into a live 2D model and animate. Also, I just don't know how to use live 2D. I had to try it for a project I was doing once, which I created a visual novel. Or at least I was trying out for maybe creating a visual novel. It is really hard to use. Plus, programs that work with live 2D and kind of allow you to use your face to animate your character are pretty much non-existent if you don't have a phone with Face ID or something of that type. And my phone does not have Face ID. And I wasn't really gonna get both a new phone and a new computer. Oh, here's an example for art I do that's not really super animated. On the left is a sketch. Just a page out of a sketchbook I've done. Bunch of hands and stuff. On the right is a face that I drew with my foot. I put it in everything I do, cause I like bragging about being able to draw with my foot. Right, so the avatar creation software. The avatar creation software I used was Vtuber Studio. It's often recommended, I think. So the things that are very good about it is you don't really need any 3D modeling skill. So if you're like me and you've never touched Blender or Maya in your life, it's pretty easy. It's also simple and cheap. I probably meant to write free. I wrote this yesterday and didn't get to check it, so. Yeah, it's simple, pretty simple. Well, as simple as an avatar creation program can get. Has a lot of sliders and other weird stuff, but it's simple. And also cheap, because it's free. It comes with base textures, which means that you don't necessarily need to know how to create your own textures. And it has an in-software drawing tool, which is really useful if you're creating your textures. Either if you want to create like really simple textures, or if you're creating your textures in another program, because then you can mark where on the base textures, not necessarily on the base textures, you can mark where you want things to go on your avatar, and then you can export that to another program. But there are also some cons to it. Like the modeling options are a bit limited. If I look down, maybe it's up. If I were to somehow contort myself such that you could see into my neck cavity, you would realize that my clothes do not touch my neck. That is partially thanks to the limitations of the modeling program, probably. So there are certain things you might not be able to do because of the limitations. And you can't really adjust the bones. Bones are things which in 3D modeling, I don't know a ton, because again I use this because I'm not a 3D modeler. But they control where things bend and how they move when they're being animated and stuff. They are kind of like literal bones, but they're also in like hair and clothing. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, especially with the hair. You'll notice in some of the slides that I have later on, hair bones in Vroid Studio. I might be missing something honestly, but they're really difficult to set up. Sometimes you'll auto create them and they'll end up such that it's just sideways. Your hair is just come sideways. And if you try to reconfigure the axis, you kind of... I've heard there's a way to do it manually, to set the axis manually, but I haven't found any luck in trying to do that. I'm not actually sure if it's possible. But anyway. Oh, did I miss anything? Nah. Oh, and you can see on the picture you have all the sliders that control things like, I don't know if you can read it at the resolution we're at, whatever that is, but it's got a resolution warning. It's my first time streaming, so I don't really know what to do about that. But I'll probably have it fixed next time. Anyway, things like outer eye slant, lower eyelid lift, and you can control those as you will. And there's design, which is just those things, but you can sort them. Textures, which is a little button to the right of design, where you can edit the textures. And there's a bunch of editors. Alright, so the concept. Okay. So essentially, what I did in creating concept is, I kind of just took two things which I thought which I wanted to include in the character that would kind of, well, almost represent me in a way, but not really, because it's not like my character is me or anything. And I combined them into a concept that's hopefully more interesting. Oh, that's also where my name comes from, actually. If you look at, I'm saying on way too much. If you look at my name, Kishitori, or Kishitori, I don't know. That comes from a combination of the word for night, Kishi, and the word for bird, Tori. So I'm literally a night bird. Also, Shigi is it's a kind of bird. It was meant to be a pun on kingfisher, but I later learned that kingfishers aren't actually in that bird family. So, good job, self. But yeah, essentially, that's one of the ways you could maybe create a character design, and that's how I create one. Yeah, and there you can see how that kind of the concept of bird and night affected things like my logo and my hair. So if I think I can turn, can I? It's not super great at picking stuff up when I go sideways, but like glasses. I think it stopped picking me up when I'm sideways, so that's a success. So you can see these things on the side of my head. They're meant to mimic the thing you see on the side of Roman Centurion helmets. And the plume on top, you can see it wiggles. Normally in Roman Centurion helmets, they actually have a crest, which is a much longer, more kind of rectangular and squarish thing with lots of little feathers. But I thought, hey, bird. Bird. So I made it into more of a plume thing instead. Plus there are night helmets throughout history that do have more of a plume and less of a crest. Cause it's not like I'm a copy paste Roman Centurion or anything. If I wore my armor, I'm pretty sure it would be chainmail. But it's not, it's cloth. Not completely cloth, but you get my point. I also made it a plume because it can do this, and I really like doing this. Right. Swoosh. Swoosh. Yeah, like that. Yeah. You also notice that there's a kind of Triforce thing in the background of, oh shoot. This wasn't intentional, but I think I started, see, so I'm on a different clock than I'm supposed to be on. I'm on 24 hours, so when I was setting up my stream, I thought like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start it at 11, right? Cause it's 11 over here. And I was looking at my clock on my computer, and it was like, oh yeah, it's 22 o'clock. It's 22. So I'm off by an hour. Good job, self, once again. Oh well, mistakes leave mistakes. I'll just make a notice like, hello, I'm sorry. I was an idiot, but at least now I have enough time to turn in my my Mandarin homework. That's also partly because I wasn't very smart in planning this. Anyway, enough blabber. Back to the presentation. So this will be a video instead. Right, so you can see my logo. My logo is kind of like Triforce, upside down. For no real particular reason other than I thought it looked good, you know. And not everything has to have like symbolic meaning and stuff. There's pretty much no reason why I'm yellow. Yellow and blue, aside from that, I really like the colors yellow and blue. I think they go well together. Red. Yeah. So more about the logo. I created the logo in Inkscape. And the reason I did that is because you generally want your logo to be a vector. And the reason you want that, see, is because vectors are scalable. I mean, you can also, I've heard that if you want your logo to not be a vector, you just have to make the logo really large or detailed, or only use it in scenarios where you can't zoom in, and it's okay that it's really small and maybe would be pixelated if you zoomed it up. But essentially what a vector is it's a graphic which, no matter how much you scale it up, it doesn't get all weird and pixely like most images do. And that's obviously really useful because you can put it on anything and it won't look super weird. I mean, as long as it's, as long as it's not weird otherwise. Yeah. Oh, and it can also be removed from the background. It's just, yeah. The slide program I was using won't accept kind of vector file I have, so that's good. Oh, and about Inkscape. It's actually really easy to use. I have absolutely zero experience with Inkscape, and I created a thing, so it's pretty easy. Right, so I have more in-depth kind of overview of how my avatar progressed through the ages. Right. This part is that I can tell you about all the dumb mistakes I made and advise you how not to make them. Unless they're mistakes you want, in which case please make them. I also have no idea if this will make you successful or not, because I'm not successful. Obviously, it's my first stream, but so yeah. Oh, and the part where it's from another slideshow, so that explains why it looks weird. I was gonna copy the same template, but it's kind of kind of templated, it's kind of a pain, so. Right, so how did I get here? Hopefully that's not too loud. So this is my first try in making an avatar. All textures were kind of default and stuff, except for the uniform, which I later learned I couldn't use. That's a good point actually. Make sure when you're doing stuff, don't do what I did. Make sure to check what the copyright policy is. If you can't read it, then please go to somewhere like Reddit or something like that. Because you really don't want to end up with a texture file that you can't actually use. And then you have to spend some time scurrying around and going, yeah, what do I replace this with? What do I replace this with? Plus it's way funner to create your own clothes, you know? But yeah, respect the law. I guess knights kind of have to respect the law, don't they? Oh, also, texture fitting. If you do get a texture online and you can use it, copyright's okay. Make sure to follow the guidelines about how to fit the texture. Because sometimes you'll end up with textures, and if you don't fit them properly, they might not look exactly how they are in the photo. For instance, let me see, I think I can rotate around. No, that's just moving. Rotation. Okay, yes. So if you can see the arm pads that I have on the side, to create the two little bumps in the arm pads, I had to adjust the clothing such that there's a bump right where my mouse is over, but you can't see. Anyway, right where there's a bump, I had to adjust the clothing. So if I adjust it back to the default model, it would look kind of flat and weird, and it wouldn't quite match right. Kind of similarly with forgive my unmodeled shoes. It's kind of strange that I'm sitting here wearing running shoes. I'm also very small. But anyway. Same thing for things like the length of my kind of skirt kilt thing, and wait, too close, and the length of my sleeves. Yes, so anyway, I don't know how I looked beforehand. Well, let's just, yeah, I think it's back to normal. Hopefully, yeah. Oh, and the last comment is just, I think the way the default hair looks just kind of looks very plastic. It's very shiny, and it's also, you have the outline, it's kind of awkward. Oh, I highly recommend watching lots of tutorials for Vroid and stuff. They can give you some awesome insight into kind of get my voice is breaking. They can give you some insight into maybe some things you might want to do when creating a Vroid avatar and things like that. So how did I, this is the part where I messed up the hair bones a ton. So so essentially, I don't know why I find that so funny. But so I changed the hair texture because I didn't quite like the original one, but I wasn't very good at doing that. So for one, it darkened the whole thing a ton. And it kind of just looks like I kind of drew a couple streaks on there and that's it. And actually that's pretty much what I did. I should have had the forethought to like attach the hair texture I used in the slideshow presentation. So I'll do that later. Oh god. Yeah, so I added strands because I watched a tutorial and I figured out that hey, strands might be a good idea because I'm probably going for more kind of fluffy look. Yeah. So I tried implementing hair bones, and it really did not work with the bottom of the hair. Hair bones are really tricky in Vtuber Studio. If anyone knows the solution to them, if anyone knows how to manipulate them properly, please tell me because they are an absolute enigma. Although a couple things I do know are things like you know, if you increase the gravity slider, your hair will start to droop a bit, which is kind of interesting. The stiffness kind of controls how much it moves. You know, more stiffness, it moves less, and it's less wiggly. It's less wiggly when the stiffness is higher. Also, if you only have one hair bone, and it wiggles a ton, it's gonna look really awkward. So you're gonna want to play around with the hair bones and stuff like that. Additionally, if you want to see your hair kind of move in the program Vtuber Studio, then I recommend going to the tab which says like camera / exporting, and there's an option to make your character move, and I think the running animation is really good for testing how your hair might move when you're sitting over here and you're going like things like that essentially. And here's a third avatar progression, which I changed the face. It's kind of closer to this one, kind of. I thought it looked very young. I didn't really like that very much. I mean, I am pretty young, honestly. But I'm not like 4. That'd be strange. So I wasn't very good at doing the face, honestly. I still think. It kind of looks like I'm a puppet because of how much kind of blush I added to the cheeks. It's kind of funny, you know, because I've literally never done makeup in my life or anything close to makeup. Nor have I ever watched someone put on makeup, but when I was drawing in the face, I thought about how makeup might be put on. Because I've heard you use contour for call it contouring, yes. Something like contouring, probably. Yeah. Something like contouring. Yeah. But I don't actually know I did that, actually. Imagine makeup. But like you don't actually know makeup. And that's how I did the face. Yeah. Right, so I also drew in the eyebrows because I wanted them to be a bit more, you know, stronger. Yeah. I think the little thin eyebrows were kind of they wouldn't show up very well. For one, I wanted them to be very prominent. Oh, but I wasn't very good at drawing them. You can't see from this distance, but if you zoom in really good, you can see the kind of, well, maybe it's not super clear, but they have a bunch of just kind of lines. It's very awkward. Oh, and you also see my eyes right here. I'll probably need to go over those later, honestly. But also, no one can really see them from this distance, so it might not really matter. When designing your avatar, depending on kind of what you want to use it for, you might want to think, what'll people really see, Oh, I just made some minor color adjustments. It's kind of pointless. So 4.1, that was when I tried to make the face look a bit older. That's not like the kid who was here. Very small kid. Very small kid. Anyway. But you'll notice I I kind of left a spot on the nose, so I just went over that and changed that. Messed around more with hair bones. Did I do a good job that time? Still no. Still no, actually. Not at all. I might show you, no, actually. I would show you, but I'd have to return on the motion capture and everything. That's kind of annoying. Yeah. Well, I'm planning on editing this after and turning it into a video. So when that happens, I'll demonstrate that. It was much worse. In fact, I'll insert a comparison right here. Just trust me. Yes. Now next. So 5.1, I adjusted the colors and face shape again. Just kind of to match more the theme, my overall character and stuff. And also just color preferences and stuff, So I made a new hair texture, just the one I currently have. I meant for it to be a lot more kind of soft and fluffy. I tried to make a smile. I did not do a good job. Not at all. Do not trust me to make smiles. I think that the closest thing to a smile I can do right now is like a that's more of a grimace. It's really more of a grimace. Oh, Vtuber is interesting actually. You can also press like that's off. I regret. Oh, I regret that. I regret that a ton. If I can, I'll be making myself custom facial animations. So yeah. It really doesn't sit with the character at all. Also, I just don't like it aesthetically as much as I do other stuff. Although, I'll talk about it later. Vtuber has some pretty cool things with it. Yeah. Focus on the presentation. Focus on the presentation itself. Right, so here's 5.2. The version numbers are very, very arbitrary. Let's keep this one. So I brightened the hair. That's all I did. And here I got rid of the smile, thank goodness. I made some minor adjustments to the face. Like, I think previously, the mouth didn't blend in very well because I got it from the base texture. Oh, also, I forgot to mention it earlier, but an interesting thing you might want to know about your Vtuber avatar, well, not yours necessarily, but kind of Vroid avatars in general, is that there's certain textures on like the face and stuff where it isn't just limited to the plane of your face. for instance, well, it's a weird position. For instance, your eyelashes, they're actually, I don't know if you can see, but your eyelashes are actually on their on their own plane. So if you have really, really extravagant eyelashes or something like that, they'll be it's kind of like you have a 2D plane on your face. It's kind of what the hair is too, honestly. You got all the planes. No airport though. No airport. And here's number 6. This used to be the current version. Also, things like the body shading color is pretty important because that determines the color of your neck. Also, this is a very bad position. Okay, ignore it, please. But it's good for seeing the back of my head and the bottom of my neck. Essentially, if the shading on your face and the color of your body shading doesn't match, it's gonna look kind of strange. Mostly because normally in most views you're gonna see your neck, you're gonna see your face. Draw a line that's gonna be kind of weird, just a bit. And back then I was like, well, I don't have proper clothing, but someday, you know? Now I have clothing. I mean, I had clothing back then, but I've like, I made myself clothing. No textures. So cloth. Anyway. Also, I'm thinking I might redo the hair sometime because it's, at least the bottom part of it. Because I don't really like the way my main kind of tuft of hair looks. And also how far up my scalp things next to it are. I don't think that's very realistic. Of course, I'm talking as an anime avatar about realism, but a certain level you need to uphold, you know? Well, not need to. I like to uphold. Yeah. Alright, so clothes. Continuing with the whole Roman Centaurian / knight theme, I now said a bit of kilt theme because, I don't know, I have a personal connection to kilts, so I was like, oh yeah, this looks kind of like a kilt, let's add a kilt. Yeah. Right, so anyway, it's kind of weird how my mouth doesn't move when I laugh, but I guess it's not loud enough. Or it doesn't think it's a sound I'm emitting. Anyway, so you can see that kind of, well, I don't have a picture of a Roman Centaurian. Should have put one up there, but I didn't. Good job, Phil. Yet again, I think that's the 3rd time I said that. But you can see that, for instance, on the shirt, you might, well, that's assuming people have shirts. I don't know. Anyway, so you can see that on the kind of shirt-like thing. Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. So what the Romans wore kind of as their underwear in a sense, and my avatar also would have, you know, regular but anyway, but Romans kind of wore as their underwear, like as an undershirt sort of thing. They had this thing called tunica, so that's what the thing in blue is. And oh, but actually, generally only royals and people of like the Romans didn't have royals, did they? No, they didn't. Only people who are really important or people who had a lot of wealth would usually have colored tunica. Usually it would just be like white or some other normal cloth color. I don't remember what they made them out of. It's like Latin. It's probably the only time I'll ever get to use the knowledge I learned in Latin too. Right, so anyway, you got the tunica, and on it there's kind of part of my logo, because consistency. heard that's important in brands, that you're recognizable, and so that viewers feel like everything's from the same source, or something to that, something to that aspect, something to that effect. Sorry. And you have got armor, like the things on the shoulder. The kind of skirt thing, I don't think it's normally meant to be made of like plates of armor, but I think it is in some situations. I'm not exactly an expert on knights, you know. But I should be. I'm knights. I need to learn more about knights. Knights. I know plenty about knights. It's night right now. Right. Around the kind of skirt-like thing is this medallion-like thing. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a thing that you often, it's not actually like it, but it's almost like what you might see on a kilt, which is this thing with 3 little tassels. I've never actually worn a full formal kilt, because I've never had a formal occasion to go to that it would be acceptable to wear kilts for. But I have a kilt in my clan tartan and all that, so I wear that sometimes. Anyway, I wanted to include something that was kind of like that for, I don't know. Oh yeah, but that's why it has kind of 3 stripes going down, like the 3 tassels. That might be on a formal kilt or might not be. Oh, it's something that you include when you're formaling. When you're formaling, clearly. Yes. I don't know the right word for it, but when you're formaling. And then the shoes that I'm supposed to be wearing, but actually aren't, because the software I'm using wouldn't really allow me to do my shoes like that. Theoretically, I could paint over the socks, but that's going to take a long time, so it's more of a priority to complete the top half of me, honestly. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for that part. So you'll notice that in taking something like this and putting it into Vtuber Studio, what you would do essentially is it's been a long time. You would take your concept art, and you'd open up Vtuber Studio, you take your clothes, and I got this from a YouTube tutorial, actually. I really wish I remembered which. If I do remember, I'll include it in the slide presentation. You just kind of draw your outfit design onto your character, and then you export the textures. Oh yes. I was interrupted. But anyway, this slide is about what I've been doing to paint my clothing, because yeah, as you can see, it's kind of painted. Some of it's smooth and some of it's not. I haven't gone around to all of it yet. You can see that, well, I used Krita because I really like the number of brush options, but I've also just kind of become very used to it. It doesn't really have like a mirror tool or anything. It's kind of not great. But you can create the effect of mirroring if sorry, give me a minute. Right, you can create the effect of mirroring if you just copy paste your layer and just flip it around. Ooh, found it. And also, it's very useful if you have a tablet. I have like a really old one, but it's still really good because it has the important thing, the all-important thing, which is pressure sensitivity. Pressure sensitivity, you can control the opacity of your brush really easily, and that is awesome. Awesomely good for doing things. Alright, so back to what I was saying earlier. One slide earlier. I just right click on the layers you want to export them, and put them into Krita, and I combine them, bam, and I color them over. Then after that, I put them back on my avatar, which I didn't include a slide of. I'll edit that afterwards. But we can see that I kind of figured out where the shading might be. Actually, it's also possible that you don't include shading. I just kind of like how it looks. And also because I have weird elements, I think including the shading helps add depth to the actually non-existent depth. Well, hopefully it does. Anyway. The thing about shading in Krita is often you don't really have your character on you while you're shading while you're shading. So after that, I put it back onto my character, and then figured out, what parts actually are shaded really weird, because I want to fix those, And so here's the current shading. My tablet started bugging out in the middle of shading it, in the middle of fixing the shading up. So there's still some parts that are kind of weird. But it's better than it used to be. You can see that some things you have to keep in mind are that the back of the sleeves, upper part of the sleeves, that's actually on the back of you. So if that's really light, it's gonna be kind of awkward, maybe. I don't know. I'll turn it around so you can see the entirety of me. Also, if you have a giant gap between the two sides of your texture, that's also gonna look pretty awkward. Although it's not really like people are gonna be seeing your back a ton, but I would maybe consider it, depending on what you're planning on doing. You can see that, well, for one, the string joins really oddly. And also that I'm really slanted. Why am I so slanted? Here you go. I'm pretty sure I'm really short. That's irrelevant. So you can see that what's not as touched up back here. This is where the two seams meet, so you're gonna wanna keep that in mind if you're doing a texture, probably. Although, also keep in mind that probably no one's gonna see back there, depending on what you're doing. And also that imagine if, because the way I have my avatar set up, the light is coming from the left of where if you imagine the triangle, the upper right triangle of my Triforce to shoot off into outer space, that's kind of where the light is coming from. So it would be kind of awkward if the back of me was just completely well lit, I think. Again, I'm not very good at art, so this is my very basic lighting knowledge put to the test. I've heard there's also things like sometimes light bounces and does cool things like that. But I don't really know enough about that to implement that. Later though, probably later. Right, and this is just the texture of my pants and stuff. The knee guards. Knee guards. They're really pointy, actually. I'll need to depoint them. Oh, and finally, here is the animation software. Not finally. I'm on slide 30 out of 41, but because I've spent way too much time going like, yes, well here's a story from 5th grade about how I was a dragon in the school play, and then I defeated a knight in the no. That is kind of what you're supposed to do with the slideshow presentation. So then actually a lot of people put like everything that they're gonna say on their slideshow presentation, but that's kind of, I think as a viewer of that slideshow presentation, that kind of makes me go, well, you know, why couldn't you just have handed me the slideshow presentation that has everything written on it? Why did you need to present it? A grade? Plus it really clutters up the slides and stuff. But anyway. Yeah, right, so I've heard the common tip is to kind of put a couple talking points instead of, you know, your entire first paragraph of your essay. On, I don't know, why automobiles are better than bugs for transportation. You can't really transport yourself on a bug. Anyway, animation software. So the animation software I use is called also there's a 3 and then TENE. So I honestly don't know how this is pronounced. I've heard people say mitene. My first instinct was santene. So for now I'm just gonna call it 3 tene. 3 tene. 3 tene. 3 tene. Yeah, tene. How about just tene? Yes, it's tene. 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 It's pretty much the only thing available for Mac. If you don't want to use Bootcamp, and I don't really want to use Bootcamp because that sounds really complicated, and then I'd have to do a ton more on Bootcamp, and that just wouldn't be very pleasant. You know, it's much. I personally find it much nicer to have all of your stuff in one place. There's also the option of, what is my head doing? There's also the option of getting VirtualBox, setting up a VirtualBox. But another caveat is that in either scenario, you generally have to purchase a Windows license. That's kind of expensive. Although if you're using it for other stuff, it's pretty cool. Probably pretty easy. Supposedly you can also get kind of a free license if you go to the test thing, but I'm not sure how legal that is, honestly. Oh, right, so the download site for 310it, Mitenet, I'm just gonna call it Mitenet because that's the one I've heard. The download site for Mitenet is in, I think, English, or I'm pretty sure it's in English, but when you download the software, it will be in Japanese. So the way you change it back to English is click on the little gear, it's outlined red, and you go to the language, and kind of, well, you do the usual thing that you do with drop-down boxes, and you switch it to what this says in the top right here. It's right on Eagle, and it means English. you're gonna want to switch to that if you're using Vtuber. I personally also recommend using motion filter options if you're using Vtuber. Just because you might hear my cats right now, they're trying to get in. Because of the time that they usually settle down for their nighttime sleeping, but we have a couch, you know. They can always come in later. Right, anyway, so I find that without any kind of motion filter, you'll look really jittery. Actually, I can show you right now by going here, here, and then I can turn off filter. And you'll see that it's very subtle, but I'm constantly just bobbing up and down, like, I kinda, yeah. Oh, yeah, like that. That happens a lot if you don't drop it. At least for the webcam I'm using, oh, and it'll say, video it, so you don't lose your settings. Essentially, whatever webcam I'm using, there's the max camera. It really doesn't work too well. Oh, and if by now anyone's coming in and is like, I thought this stream started at 5 AM UST. Well, the reason it doesn't is because I read my clock wrong. Yes, I read my clock wrong. I read my clock wrong, and it was supposed to start at what's in my time, 11. I use a 24-hour clock. So when I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll set it to 11. Well, actually it's 10:55, but I couldn't set it to 11 for some reason. Oh yeah, I'll set it to 11 and that'll be really nice. And I looked at my clock and I was like, oh shoot, 11 is at 22. Because of course, you know, two numbers in a row. Yeah. So if you're new here, that explains my stupidity. I can't actually see how many people are here because I got the thing in the other corner. It's a good thing I didn't know how to implement chat because I was chatting. Probably because I started an hour late for one. Yeah. I'll have to say something about that. Oh, that was loud, wasn't it? Sorry. Right, so lip sync modes. There's two lip sync modes. One is audio and one is visual. So the audio means that it moves when you make sounds and not when you open your mouth. So I can open my mouth real wide like this. And I can't tell, but I can have my mouth really small, making a loud sound like oh, 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 oh. And and it will move. It's kind of like lip sync or anything. Yeah. It's kind of just your preference, you know. I want to make you aware of it. I think it's pretty cool and pretty important. With audio, I personally think that it's very nice to have it sync up to the sounds in the room. That's my cat trying to get in. Jin, you good? It's Max. Anyway, they sound really sad. That's the sound they make every time they try to get into a room they're not supposed to be in. Or sometimes also when they have a bit of prey that they've caught and they're like, human, come to me. I have this sock for you. It's an offering. and they won't stop meowing about it until you come and take the sock. Although sometimes you'll come and take the sock, and they still won't stop meowing about it until you take the sock away. Because they'll pick the sock back up and they'll be like, "Human, I found new prey again. I know it looks the same, but I promise you." Right, so streaming software. This is the part where I talk about what I'm not so great at, really, because I'm not so great at the streaming software thing. So OBS, I've heard it's pretty good. There's also Streamlabs. Streamlabs is cool because it's easier to set up the chat. I'll probably have to ask people how to set up the chat later. Oh, I can type in the chat actually. Guys, I was an idiot. Started stream too early because my clock is set. My clock is set to the wrong time. Clock is set to the wrong time. And what else should I write? So not be confused. Not be confused. Not be confused. Not be confused about what's not be confused about how to type. Say idiot and started the stream too early. The clock was set to the wrong time. Clock is set to the wrong time. Well, actually, my clock is set an hour early, yeah, because of daylight savings time. Which kind of sucks. Not an hour early, an hour later? Yeah. On my clock over there, I think it says something like 11 o'clock. No, actually it says 23 o'clock. That wouldn't have been the clock that I've been looking at anyway, so not super relevant. It's essentially just that my clock is set to the wrong time though. Right. I was an idiot and started streaming too early because my clock is set to the wrong time, so everything's off by an hour. Right, so back to talking about OBS. So look, with OBS, it's very versatile, probably. There's a lot of things you can click on, so I assume it's versatile. And it has chroma key, which is, it's great because essentially, I don't know if this is the only way to do it, but one way which you can use to take your avatar and put it into Mitene and then put it onto OBS is you can change the background in Mitene to be. You can change the background in Mitene to be a color that's good for chroma keying your character. For me, it's this very light green, which I had to go for because a more bluish green intersects into the blue and intersects with the blues, and a more yellowish green intersects with the yellows, and that's kind of problematic. There's also blue screen, you know, and stuff like that. That obviously don't work for certain reasons. Right? So with the YouTube chat, I heard that you have to. Well, this is kind of if you're on YouTube instead of Twitch. I choose YouTube because I'm more familiar with the platform. Actually, when I was a kid, I did a bunch of YouTube videos, which are really bad. I talked for about 2 minutes of a 20-minute long video. That's the level of quality young me was at with my videos. It was a very low quality effort. But I'm pretty sure I was also like I don't know, very young. So I played Minecraft and I would just shout at things like there's a grass block, grass block, grass block, grass block. Tree, 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 tree. Lake, lake, yes, lake. Fish, fish, fish. Well, like that. Right, and also for connecting a tablet to the computer, which is for gaming and stuff. For connecting my tablet to my computer, what I have to do for that is, cause it's a Mac. Of course, the ports are changed. You know, I can't just use USBs like everyone else. Or maybe everyone else is using the Mac ports. I have legitimately no idea. Essentially, I had to take like a USB adapter, you attach the end of a cord to the tablet, and then the end of that is the USB, and to the USB you attach an adapter which adapts the USB port to the port that I use for my computer. And it's really just a whole lot of cords. I think there's also one which would go directly from my tablet to my computer, an adapter like that. But I don't know, you know. I already have what I have, so. Oh, and also you use QuickTime. You can use QuickTime for if you have a device and you click it up, and you connect it up. I'm really deteriorating after 1 hour, aren't I? Keep together, myself. Right, so if you connect it to your computer, in QuickTime you can start a movie, and the first thing it'll switch to is your webcam. So that's why you don't necessarily, you want to add in the movie later, or you want to set it up before you stream, so that people don't see your webcam. Cause that'd be awkward, wouldn't it? That'd be very awkward. And then you switch, there's a little drop down you can do, you switch, and then you can switch from your webcam to your tablet. This is also assuming it's an Apple device. I don't really know how it works for Android, to be honest. My family, for some reason, they want everyone on Apple. I don't really know why. Maybe it's for like connectivity and stuff. Cause you can AirDrop. You can always email. AirDrop doesn't always work if you have like a VPN or something like that. What is my head doing? Oh, I think I changed sitting positions. Hang on. There you go. Sorry, I do that kind of thing consciously. This might be weird, but I spend a lot of my time sitting. I spend a lot of my time sitting on my feet on chairs. It's my hobby. But it also kind of keeps the blood moving, you know? So for audio, I have a Blue Yeti with very low gain. Also, what I've heard is that for microphones and stuff, it's good if they're not directly connected to the desk, because then every sound you make on the desk will get directly transmitted to the microphone, because sound Sound is movement. So to prevent that, I would usually have a piece of felt or two. Felt's a really good kind of sound insulator. At least I've heard it is. I don't know where my felt is right now, so I have a sweater and that's not quite as effective. You can see if I'm making a banging sound right now, it kind of gets through. Like, if I take the sweater away, you'll hear some weird kind of clinky sounds right now. If I take the sweater away, you can hear it even more. Yeah. So I hope the sweater helps. Or if I take it off entirely, you can barely hear the bang sounds at all. Also, for microphones, there's this thing called a pop filter, which is essentially if you're right in front of your microphone, you don't want the air from your plosives to hit the microphone because it'll make a really weird sound, like. And you don't want to blow out your viewers' ears. Really, should have added a sound warning for that. With the pop filter, which I have right here, you can stand right in front of your microphone and go like pajama, and it won't get through as much. Oh, sorry. Slammed the pop filter into the desk. You can also just not talk right into your microphone. That's what I do. Because my pop filter does not fit onto the stand I'm using. That's kind of awkward. Oh, also, at least for whatever microphone I'm using, Blue Yeti, I personally recommend setting the gain very, very low so that it doesn't pick up everything in the room around you. If it does, that's kind of awkward. Oh, I can try turning the gain up to demonstrate. Let's see. Oh, another thing about the Blue Yeti microphone is it pretty much picks up audio like right in front of it and to the sides of it, so it'll pick up less background noise. It's pretty good. Right, so I'm turning the gain up right now, and you can see the my voice and everything else, like the background noise, gets louder and louder, and you can really hear everything to a really uncomfortable level. Yeah. I'm gonna turn the gain back down. Right, I can talk normally. If you couldn't tell, that was me whispering. My father does use it for singing, because he sings though. I don't know his reasoning behind that, but there's probably some kind of reason. So if you sing, maybe, I don't know. I'm not really one. Sometimes I question why I'm giving tips when I've barely done anything. Well, I have done trial runs and stuff, but I've never actually streamed to an audience. I can still tell you what dumb things I've done though. Right, so future plans. But you gotta have those. Probably. So in the future, I plan to work more on my face texture and my hair texture. I made my hair shape and general color matching. Just gotta get that color palette. And also finish painting my clothing. Cause some parts of it are really awkward, like the shading on my skirt thing. And also some parts of it, like I fixed one of I fixed where the highlights are on one of the arm things, but not on the other one. That was a mistake. Well, it wasn't actually a mistake, that was my tablet bugged out. But I still need to go and correct it. It was like a momentary bug, not like my tablet breaking bug. It's just so I was blending the colors The way I typically do that is, I don't know if it's a good way to do it, but I take a bunch of samples. I kind of using the I think you use the space bar. You kind of click around, like drag around with my tablet, and do stuff. The thing about that is, eventually for some reason it started picking the color really far away from where my tablet was, and I didn't really know what to do with that, so I quit the program and hope it's fixed by the time I return. I hope it's fixed when I return. Like it's not, I hope it's not a setting that I accidentally triggered by stepping on one of the keys. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of a game and my cat will walk over my keyboard and they'll be like, what's going on? Because they'll have turned on like a colorblind mode. Anyway, so let's go. Languages. Oh, right, these are the languages I plan to speak. Languages. Languages is one of the things about my channel. This is actually important to I don't know why I thought this was relevant to the slideshow presentation, actually, now I think about it. Well, I guess this is relevant to why I chose YouTube over Twitch, actually. So I hope to do bilingual streams someday, because I've been learning Japanese for around 3 years. I figured, eventually I'm gonna want to talk in it, Well, that, and also because I'm gonna get literally no talking experience aside from this and talk to myself, so it's nice to use those muscles. Those brain muscles. Well, your brain is a muscle, Yeah, use it. Right, so my native language, as you can probably tell, is English. Although I'm still not always great at articulating stuff. I had to go to a speech therapist once, actually. It's kind of an awkward time. Because, back then, whenever I said anything, I couldn't actually tell what I was doing wrong. So it's kind of like, I talked a ton, but I never knew that I was getting any better. You don't really hear yourself inside your head. You just hear what you think you hear. And I thought I was talking just fine, so. Anyway, I'm a lot older now, so hopefully most of my speech problems have, dissolved away into the Netherlands. I mean, not there specifically. The Netherlands are a good place. I meant more like they dissolved down into the nether. They dissolved down into hell. Something like that. Something like that. Anyway, to demonstrate what kind of level of Japanese I'm at right now, for those who are interested, I'll be including in my presentation my TTBJ and JCAT scores. What TTBJ is essentially, it's what the JCAT used to be almost, because I don't think the questions are randomized. Essentially, what the JCAT is it was this program where, this website where for free you could assess your Japanese skills, once per year. Yeah, you had to sign in and create a login account and everything. But the thing about that is right now, you can't do that anymore. They've stopped allowing people to test themselves personally. Well, individually, so you have to be signed up with an organization to do an official test and stuff like that. Essentially, it's made to, well, it can match you up to maybe, what, JLPT level? Well, it could match you up to maybe what JLPT level you at. It was really useful. It's kind of sad they switched to you can't do individually. Can't do it individually. Sorry, cracking my neck. So the TTBJ is a lot like that. My neck is weird. TTBJ is a lot like that, except it has different types of questions. Like I'll show you on the next slide. Those were my JCAT scores in 2019. My TTBJ scores are more recent. For instance, this was the kanji exam thing. They have a kanji test. I think this one was in 3. Actually, this probably doesn't make any sense if you don't include the level. Wait, no. It says the level right here. It's a middle level. Yes, middle level kanji test. The scores don't really mean much unless you put them onto unless you look at the TTBJ website. I'll also link that in the slides presentation if anyone's curious. Here are more stuff. This gives you more of an idea of kind of what they test for. There's this thing called Spot 90, which is it was really strange actually, but also really cool. Kind of what they do is they play a listening sample, like the one you might hear in a dialogue or something like that, and they have you fill in the blank for a written sentence of what was said in the listening example. But as the test goes on, they get progressively more and more scattered until more and more hard to listen to, until all you're hearing is like it's like train announcements. Train announcements, God. They have grammar, which is grammar. And kanji. In this version, I don't really know what the spot represents, but I assume it's something to do with like listening and stuff. Because they have you fill in the kanji in the spot thing instead of just other stuff and stuff. So if you have any questions or suggestions or anything like that, please put them in like the live chat, or the comment section, or at me on Twitter. I'm not really sure what you'd have questions about, but I'm sure there's some things, and I'm sure there's plenty of suggestions because I have plenty of things which I could do a ton better. Because yeah, I'm human and stuff. Like Twitch, like not Twitch. We're on YouTube, not Twitch. Like a YouTube layout. I do not have a stream layout yet because I don't really know what I'm going to. I honestly just don't know how I'm going to set things up yet and what I'm going to need to do. I want to figure that out yet. I want to kind of figure that out before I commit to something. And also because I'm not great at design. Probably ask people about that. And this would be the part where I would start up a game, but I'm really tired and I have a project finished. So I'll kind of I think I'll just end this here. So anyone watching, hope you have a great day. And maybe see you sometime else. For rhythm gaming content. I don't usually do slideshows. Unless I have something like a slideshow for you to talk about. I might go over like the controls. What would I go over the controls for? Yeah, I might use that to go over things like what I'm gonna do in the future. Stuff like that. Slideshows are really useful for that kind of thing. But seriously though, I've been blabbering on for way too long, so it's time to shut the doors. This was the Kishitori Shigisho. or something. And I'll see you next time.